How everyone doing?
Welcome back, Quadric.
Gotta be back, man.
Yeah, so how many games did you miss at the end of last season?
Probably like 6 or 7.
So it's been so you getting back on the field, it's a long time coming. How did that feel getting back in action last Thursday?
I would say at first I was kind of nervous, first time actually going back into tackling someone, because during the whole camp when I was actually out there being with the defense, I wasn't able to tackle anyone. I was still getting reps and everything. And then when it came to scrimmages, I was just, watching, teaching and things like that. And then got to the point where, like, it's real. You got to tackle someone. And I mean, at first I was nervous, but after that first hit, I was like, okay, I'm back. I'm back, and it's feeling good. So I mean, the nervousness, it kind of went away toward, like, after that first hit. So I was good after that.
Yeah, everyone wants to play, obviously, if you're healthy. But when you weren't able to get on the field and do things, how much of a leadership role did you take with some of the younger guys to kind of help them kind of grow along as you kind of get yourself back into the game?
I would say the role that I took wasn't really as a leader; it was more of like as a GA. I talked to some of the young DBs, or even the new guys who came in who were pretty much older than me. I'm like, hey, if you need help with anything, I'm pretty much like the defensive playbook. I know everything. Like, I wouldn't say I know everything, but I know what the coaches were calling this. I know what the coaches saying in these situations. And if you need help understanding it, I can show you. We can go on the field. We can do drills and anything to show you like what the coaches are expecting. So you're not going into practice blindfolded and not knowing what to do. I was basically like a dictionary for them to use and go out there and perfect their craft.
From the standpoint of the DB's GA, what do you think you guys learned the most from Thursday night?
I would say as a DB group, we've learned that as a whole coming together that we can go against pretty much anybody. It's basically going out there and supporting your brother, even when we had a lot of guys who didn't get a chance to go out there. They weren't sad, they weren't pounding on the sideline or anything like that. We showed that we are grown men and we are there to support our teammates even when we're not getting in. We know our time is going to come sooner or later, but being able to support your teammate from the sideline, knowing your chances of getting in are slim is big. It's a big role that people overlook. Some people get sad or anything like that, but I really give a shout out to the players that didn't get to get in, and they still supported us even when we were out there. When we giving up big plays, they still hey, keep your head up, next play, and it's a mentality that you have to have as a defense as a whole, and the DBs they really showed up in that situation.
From what you've seen of Boise, what stands out to you, and how do you think they'll challenge your defense?
I would say what stood out to me mostly was what they do to mostly every team. They did last year as well. They line up in they line up in formations that you think they would start in, and then they end up shifting a bunch of guys and everything like that. They do it mostly to confuse people. And I mean, us as a DB group, we've already started diving into it. We're like, hey, communication is going to be key this game, because we have dudes in the back end who must know all three positions, because you have to rotate this and you have to bump this and things like that. So you have to know if you end up in this position, you got to do this. If you end up in this position, you got to do this. So communication this game, we've learned it's going to be a key role in coming to defeat Boise.
How was communication in game one?
I would say communication in game one, it was good, but it's not where we want to be. There are certain things we have to start making better pre-snap calls, so that we're not caught off guard when the dude moves. We already know, hey, we want to do this immediately. So getting better at pre-snap communication is also going to help us. But I would say communication overall was better than it has been in the past years.
Obviously, no one wants to be out, but what did you take from your time not being able to play on the field, just like from a different perspective?
I mean, it gave me insight on, I would say, actually learning the game without being in the game. Because a lot of people are I would say, hands-on learners. They have to be in a situation to understand the situation, which is something I've been for pretty much my whole life playing football. But being able to learn from a different perspective, it actually helped me learn the game and talk to the coaches on a different level. Even though I wasn't getting in, I'm like, Coach, what would you do? What would you call in this situation? What would you do in this situation? And they've given me a lot of insight on the coaches aspect of the whole game, and it's gonna help me when it comes my time to going to the NFL draft or anything like that. When coaches are asking me questions, I can already have the answer, because I've been peeking into the mind of a coach. So I mean, that's really been helping me.
You obviously learned a lot from Thursday's win, but to go on the road, face a team that is so good traditionally at home, how much more can you learn about your team with this upcoming challenge?
I mean, with this upcoming challenge, we'll be able to find out will our team panic in certain situations because, like I said, Boise does a lot of shifts and motions and things like that. Will we panic when they're doing all this moving and everything? Or will we stick together and be like, hey, calm down, this is just a game. We went over this in practice, we know what's going to come, and it'll really test us to see where we've been to break.
We made a lot last week about not really knowing what Kent State was going to run offensively with all the new faces they had on offense. How do you think, to that point, how do you think you guys handle adjusting to what they started throwing at you, and what can you take from that experience to preparing for a team like Boise this week?
To be quite honest, I feel like we handled it well because during practice, Coach Addy, he even told us, he was like, I'm going to be hard on you guys. I'm going to give you unrealistic calls and things like that during practice. So when it comes to the game, it's easy. So in practice, we were getting probably long sentence calls, and we're sitting there communicating, and we look like we're out of whack every now and then. But like he told us to calm down. Hey, this is not what we're going to call in the game, but I want you to be prepared for when the game comes, and you get these single word calls. You're like, oh, this is easy, and him making it difficult for us in practice to make it easier in the game it's truly a blessing because when it comes to the game and everything becomes easier, the game slows down and it helps the defense when it comes to executing.
Talk about go back to your injury and how you got through it. Aside from getting through talking to the coaches from the technical standpoint, talk about the emotional standpoint on those highs and lows and what you do to help push yourself to stay motivated through it.
I would say when I first got injured and I was just sitting in my room 24/7, I honestly thought about like just hanging it up, like, hey, maybe this is this is where my football career ends, and just talking to my parents and talking to Coach Gibbs and Coach Addy, they was like, hey, it's not over yet. Yeah, this is one injury, but you still have 2 more seasons to go. And I thought about it. I was like, I mean, I've been through a lot of injuries in my life. I mean, I can't give up right now. This is just one more injury to add to the story. And I mean, going and talking to Coach Gibbs, Coach Addy outside of football, just talking to them about life, it was therapeutic for me. And then going like just chilling with them outside of football, just chilling with them in the office, talking about things outside of football. I mean, it helps you learn more about a person and see that they want to help you outside of just your athletic talent. They want to see you be prosperous as a young man and as a family man when it comes to that time. And I mean, it really helped me. It really helped me see the bigger picture that it's more than just football when it comes to the coaches.
Right. Obviously, you look at Boise State. I think it stands out a little bit as the blue turf field. I'm sure you've seen it before. What do you make of it, and what are you excited to see it? What kind of preparations do you think you guys need to do for it?
Honestly, before I even got into college, I was hoping to play on somebody's field that had blue or any color. I was just hoping to play on the colored field. And I mean, like Coach has said, I mean, we're gonna go probably practice on a blue turf field. I mean, it'll be a first time for me, and it'll help us get adjusted to it going into, because I've seen a couple videos on YouTube or anything like that where teams actually hide their players in the end zones of blue fields and things like that, and it's like we have to be prepared for this because you never know, Boise might pull it out. They just came off of a loss, so all tricks are up right now. So it'll help us a lot going to practice on one to actually get reps on the blue field.
How do those new transfers help you guys? Obviously, Jair played a lot of safety. Jordan Mascanickle, he had that interception. I knew you had a lot of newcomers kind of meshing with the returning guys like yourself. How was that dynamic?
I mean, when they came in, all it did was light a fire to everyone who supposedly thought they had a position on the field and everything. Because when they came in to work. And if you were complacent and were like, man, they're not taking my spot, I'm good, you were honestly losing your spot the moment they came in, because they all came in and they immediately got to work. Jaira, DeJoy Mass, Corey Patterson, Morris, all of them, they came in and worked, and they pushed each and every person that was already there, like, hey, I'm coming in, this might be my last season, so I need to be on the field 24/7. And them coming in and pushing us made us better as a DB group, because majority of the transfers came from the DB room. So I mean, the competition was high. So when there becomes high competition, it's iron sharpens iron. So if I do this wrong, if Jair comes in and do it right, you're like, okay, you might take my spot, and then vice versa. And to keep people from being complacent, the coaches, I would say, Coach Gibbs, they did a great job of, okay, you might be in the gold group this week. Next week, you're going to be in the black group. You might be in a white group. You never know where you're going to end up. So that also helps the coaches learn how you would handle us demoting you, promoting you, and things like that. Where you get too high, where you get too low, and that's one thing they tell us: don't get too high, don't get too low. Just stay consistent with everything. And I mean, with them coming in, adding depth, I mean, we're becoming a great force in the back end.
How would you evaluate your partnership with Nakai Martinez at safety, and what did you think of his first performance as a starter?
I mean, my connection with Nakai is been pretty strong, all because Nakai started at nickel. So I mean, me and him always talk when I was at safety or field safety or anything like that. Me and him always communicating. I seen his talents on the high school level and the college level, and his performance in the first game. It was nothing short of what I expected. I expected him to make those plays. Some plays one of the plays he dropped an interception. I got on him about that, but like other than that, great performance. I expected that from him, and I can't wait to see him elevate his game to the next game.
Well, speaking of interceptions, you mentioned Jordan Mask earlier. He had the interception in the game. That started up front with a push from the defensive line, getting that pressure from your spot amongst the DBs. How do you feel like the defensive line looked on Thursday night, and how much have they built from your perspective throughout the preseason into the game?
To be honest, I couldn't ask for anything better than doing what the defensive line did. They gave us great pressure up front, which forced the quarterback to throw some wild balls every now and then. The DBs got our hands on a couple of balls, and I was actually quite happy to see the run game be pretty much non-existent. The D-line did what they're supposed to do, and the DBs, we just got to capitalize on that every now and then when the ball's in the air. But the D-line, they did exactly what I expected them to do, and I can't wait to see them step up and do the same thing in Boise State game.
Coach just said it's very challenging to win on the road in college football. You've played a lot of road games. Why do you think that's so, and what does this team have to do Saturday to get a win?
I would say the reason it's hard to win on road games because the support you have at a home game is totally different going into a away game. You might not have as many supporters out there. The words people might be saying at Boise State might be something offensive to somebody else, but as a football player, you have to be able to block that noise out, whatever. I would say going into the Boise State game, we as a team have to be focused on our goal, block out all the outside noise. Even our own fans, yeah, they may be praising us for something, but hey, that's the old play, next play. Because you never know, this play you might go out there and break the pass up, and the next play, dude might catch the ball on you. Next play is always next play mentality, and like I said, never getting too high, never getting too low. And Boise State, I played at a couple of stadiums where the fans are just outright outrageous and rude. I mean, it's what you expect from a avid sports fan. So just going into the game, you have to be able to focus on your target and just block out any outside noise and execute what you have to do.
Obviously, the defensive back room is a pretty veteran group. You do have Brady Marshall, who's vetting his way in. What did you think about his first performance as a college player?
I'll say his first performance was pretty decent. I mean, he had some things he had to clean up, but I would expect that from someone who's going into their freshman game. But he did better than most freshmen would do when it comes to going into your first game and being nervous. I didn't really see any nervousness from him, which I expected. I mean, Brady's a very confident player, and I mean, going into the next game, I can't wait to see how he elevates.
Going back to the fans, how much love did you feel in that first Big 12 kickoff game last Thursday?
I mean, the love that I felt from that game was nothing short of what I expect out of the Bounce House. The Bounce House is basically another home for me, and the fans show their love even when things aren't looking too good. The fans still show love. The fans sit directly behind us. They come up, always talk to us. Seeing the kids come and talk to us to ask for things. I mean, it's a blessing to be here and actually have a fan base that actually wants to connect with you outside of football sometimes, and I can ask for anything better.
Good stuff, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Quad.
Yeah, have a great day.